Creators are mumbling their ideas amongst themselves until the CEO enters the room and slams their hands down on the table.
All right, team. The mission statement of Sydney Entertainment is to allow anyone and everyone partake in the magic that we have to offer. As you're all well aware, the world has changed quite a bit since you and I last indulged in some Sydney magic ourselves. There are newer needs to be met, and we must rise to meet them.
Are you saying that?
Yes, it's time to get progressive up in here. Fight the good fight of media representation and let everyone's voices be heard.
A confident hand raises from the artist.
Yes?
Thank you. From my understanding, the best kind of representation is the kind that isn't overstated. I've been working on a few designs for the next production, and I was wondering if we could go with something like this.
The artist proudly displays a completely unassuming character design.
I like it. It's a good start, but I'm not really getting gay from it, you know? I can't really tell.
Well, I don't think gay people really look different.
Oh, I've got it. How about you give her some rainbow-dyed hair and clothes of the opposite gender? Oh, and like lipstick, but only on one side.
Whatever you say, ma'am.
The artist puts their work away. The screenwriter butts in.
Well, ma'am, I've been in the process of writing our next big princess into the Sydney universe, and I was thinking we could give her a female love interest.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Well,
What's wrong?
it's just that we want to make sure that everyone can relate to the story. We don't want to shrink the spotlight so much.
We were just talking about being progressive.
Oh, don't get me wrong. I am all about media representation. It's just I'm not sure this is a good a business decision right now. We don't know if it'll succeed.
Well, Toon TV just aired a same-sex couple.
Well, I don't give a mouse's tail about Toon TV. We're Sydney for Sydney's sake.
An assistant enters the room and taps the CEO on their shoulder.
We can't just dive into this. We have to take careful What?
The assistant whispers into their ear.
Oh, okay, I'm listening. A-list casting? How many lines? Dies at the end? By golly, it's perfect. All right, team, you heard her. We have our mission. Team, Hoodie, write me that scene and bring it to me in 5 minutes.
Fine.
You, remember, gay needs to be as clear as day.
Yes, ma'am.
And you, quit watching teen TV. That stuff rots your brain.
Everyone, the CEO counts their money. Lights down, end of scene.
Identity fair.
I'm counselor, a school guidance counselor.
I'm Julie, a high school student.
Lights up. Counselor sits at desk. Enter Julie, who knocks on the door.
Come on in.
Julie comes in.
Hi, Julie. Take a seat.
Thanks for letting me come in on such short notice.
Of course. What seems to be the problem?
Well, I went to the identity fair yesterday, and nothing was really speaking to me. I'm just feeling kind of overwhelmed. So I thought you might have some advice?
Well, it can definitely be overwhelming. Did you see any brochures that interested you?
I guess. I don't know. I was looking at the lesbian pamphlet. It seems like a reach identity to me.
Well, I always appreciate it when students aim high. Oftentimes the right fit isn't as straightforward as you'd hope, but I promise you it's worth the effort to find out.
It's just all of my friends have such a clear picture of who they want to be. Why is it so easy for them and not for me?
It just seems like you're still really early in the process. Don't worry, that's perfectly normal. Why don't we take a little look-see at your Iat scores and see what would be a match for you?
That would be great.
Okay. As you know, the identity aptitude tests are here to scale students' distinctiveness. There are no good or bad scores, Julie. Every student who wishes to will find an identity that fits.
Absolutely.
Okay, it says here that you trend polysexual and demi-romantic and demonstrate a 2 to 5 range on the Kinsey scale with a margin of error of 3.
So that...
That's that. You have your answers, and those are not bad scores either, Julie.
So what would be a fit for me then?
Well, it means you have so many options, you lucky duck.
Okay.
Look, why don't you go home and talk to your parents about your options? Here, take these. Be sure to submit your registration form by the end of the week. It was great chatting with you, Julie. I can't wait to see what you do.
Thank you. Bye.
Lights down. End of scene.
Clothing does not a gay person make.
I'm Calendar. I'm a high school gay boy.
I'm Brock. I'm a homophobic jock.
I'm Tony. I'm another homophobic jock.
I am Calendar's fairy godmother.
Lights up. Generic high school hallway. Calendar's walking down the hall gaily. Brock and Tony approach him.
Hey, Calendar!
Brock pushes Calendar against the wall.
Hey.
Nice gay face, gay boy.
Oh, man lover.
Oh, I knew this shirt was a bad idea.
Well, I didn't hear you. All I heard was gay, gay, gay. No, shut up and give us your lunch money.
Oh, okay.
Brock and Tony walk like Beavis and Butthead. Calendar runs off gaily to the fountain and cries.
Why? Oh, why?
Suddenly, fairy godmother appears out of thin air.
What is the matter, Calendar, my dear?
These boys are bullying me.
Now, why on earth would they do that?
It's because of my clothes. I got this new rainbow top at TJ Maxx this weekend, and I think it made them want to hurt me.
Well, what can we do about that? I know! A bippity, a boppity, boo!
What did you do?
I made it so everyone in the world wears the same thing. This way, no one can bully you for being gay.
Oh gosh, oh Jesus, thank you, fairy godmother.
Oh, of course, my dear. Now go off, my work here is done.
Calendar walks back into school and is again approached by Brock and Tony, who are both wearing jumpsuits identical to Calendar's. Calendar constantly walks by, but Tony pushes him against the wall.
Brock, do you hear that? That's fresh gay boy meat sound.
but how could you tell? My clothes are just like yours.
What?
What? Wasn't that why you were bullying me? Because of my clothes, you could tell I was gay.
It wasn't your clothes, fruit stand. It was that voice.
Your wrists.
And your all-around demeanor.
And the fact that your name is Calendar.
Yeah, we didn't even notice your gay clothes.
Oh.
Calendar down and
The BETCo ad. Jeremy's mother.
I'm Jeremy. Gecko, the little lizard that's in every scene, every commercial.
And I'm Jeremy, the teenage son. Lights up. Child and mother are sitting on a couch watching American Idol when it goes to a commercial break. Jeremy is a teenager, but instead of normal skin, he has a greenish reptilian-like skin. But to the mother, he seems completely normal. A BETCo ad comes up, and the lizard is there talking. Jeremy watches intently, mesmerized.
15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Ugh, what a disgusting ad. I can't believe they would ever show that on TV.
Well, I liked it.
Jeremy, don't use that tone with your mother.
She looks at Jeremy and notices for the first time the lizard skin.
Oh, God, Jeremy, what's that on your face? Come here, let me wipe it off.
What? No, Mom, leave me alone.
Excuse me? Oh, was this because of that dumb advertisement?
What? No.
Yes, that's it, isn't it? It's this ad, isn't it? It's a bad influence on you children, and I know it.
What? No, it's just an ad.
You see, it's changed you.
Mom, what are you talking about? I haven't changed a bit.
Yes, it's that ad. It turned you.
Jeremy looks into the gecko's eyes, who has returned to the usual friendly-looking gecko.
That thing, it has turned you into a monster.
Mom, calm down. It'll be okay.
No, we were having such a nice family night, and then they had to shove this down our throats. Don't they know American Idol is a family show? There are families all over the country watching this right now. Families with kids much younger and impressionable than you. Oh, well, I don't know if we can keep on watching TV with this type of ad. Mom,
it's just an ad. Forget about it.
Just an ad? Just an ad? Well, first they'll be having ads with talking lizards. And then what? What's next? They'll have a lizard as a contestant on that show, or a show all about talking reptiles. Oh, the horror.
Yeah, well, maybe they should.
Oh, Jeremy, no, I won't let this ad ruin the lives of other children the way it has ruined yours.
Oh yeah? And how exactly did it ruin my life? I've always been like this, and you know it.
No, Jeremy, stop it. It was that thing, and it changed you.
Mother turns and takes a good look at Jeremy. She sees a tail and sharp claws. His eyes are bright red, and his skin has become more scaly.
Oh, God, I just can't stand to look at you like this. I can't.
She runs over to the TV, which is still paused on the smiling gecko's face. She kicks the screen until it shatters. She unplugs the TV and knocks it over, then runs out. Jeremy is left standing. He has reverted back to his old self. Still reptile green skin, but no tail or claws or red eyes. Lights down, end of scene.
Baby power bottom.
Heather, mother of Henry and Julia.
Christina, mother of Jackson and Mia.
Lights up. A park. Heather and Christina sit on a bench with babies in their strollers.
That's my little cutie pie.
Oh, they make such a cute couple. Cannot wait for them to go to prom together.
Only 17 years left.
We have to get 1,000,000 photos.
Jackson starts to cry.
Oh, come to Mama.
Oh, Christy, you always have the cutest onesies.
Oh, this? Gymboree, only $11.99.
Oh, I got Henry the cutest drag fit from there the other day. Isn't he just adorable?
How do you get him to stay still for that makeup? His eyeshadow looks gorgeous. Jackson starts crying every time I go to try.
Oh, interesting. Henry doesn't even struggle.
He must just better be a better little homo than Jackson.
Oh, don't say that. I have been practicing looks for Pride, though. I bought a full rainbow color palette.
Jesus, that's next week, isn't it? Oh, it completely slipped my mind. Oh my God, could it be my fault he's not gay enough? I'm not failing him, am I? I never had to think about that with Mia.
Well, there must be advice for that somewhere in the manual. I practically sleep with mine under my pillow. Pride's page 28, but I have been practicing new looks and they're gorgeous. I am worried about my Julia though. I never expected to have a hetero. I just don't know what to do with her.
It was such a disappointment when Julia and Mia's test results both came back hetero. They could have been so cute too. But it's okay. I know Mia's into our neighbor boy, so nothing to worry about with her.
Well, thank God for a little homos here.
Lights down, end of scene.
Twink Tank.
I'm the host and narrator on Twink Tank.
I am Ian, a judge on Twink Tank.
I'm Jeffrey, another judge on Twink Tank.
I'm Alex, another judge on Twink Tank.
I'm Sam and another contestant on Twink Tank.
I'm Emily, a contestant on Twink Tank.
And I'm Nick, another contestant on Twink Tank.
Lights up. Shark Tank-like setup. Judges are in seats, but no contestants in the room yet.
Welcome back to Twink Tank, the only romantic competitive investment show where the products being advertised are the advertisers themselves. Now, it's late in the day and none of the judges have found anyone worth investing in. Will the next contestant, Sam, be enough to spark their interest?
Enter Sam, nervously.
Hello, judges.
I'm out on this one.
I figured you would be. Ian, Jeffrey, hear me out.
I'm listening.
My name's Sam, and I'm from Brookline, New York.
Predictable.
But stylish.
On our first date, I'd take you on the ferry to Governor's Island where we'd have a picnic in the sea breeze.
Sounds romantic. Just like all the others. What makes you different?
I'm an excellent cook. If you like something at one of the restaurants I take you to, I can learn how to make it for you at home.
Interesting. Where'd you learn that skill?
My girlfriend taught me.
Dramatic noise that they make when something goes wrong on Shark Tank. Swing!
Ex-girlfriend?
I'm bisexual.
I'm out.
No, don't worry. I'm like 80% gay.
I'm sorry, Sam, but I can't date a gay man who hides his identity just to be accepted by the straights. I'm out.
Exit Sam.
Ooh, Sam wasn't so lucky in the Twink Tank this time. Maybe the next contestant, Emily, will have a better shot.
Enter Emily.
Hi, Alex. Ian, Jeffrey, I expect you're both out.
Ian and Jeffrey nod.
I am very much in.
I'm glad to hear it. My name is Emily, and I'm from Hartford, Connecticut.
Hartford, Connecticut, that's pretty far.
On our first date, I would take us to the one lesbian bar still left in Greenwich Village. Then we would go back to my place and have a conversation about our feelings.
Wow.
Do you have any questions for me that would help convince you to invest?
Yes, one actually. I've never met a lesbian as femme as you before. Why do you think that is?
It may be because I'm not a lesbian. I'm actually bisexual.
Dramatic noise. Swing!
Oh. How do I know you won't cheat on me with a guy?
I guess you just have to trust me.
Fine. I'll invest one date, but I won't cut my nails first.
I guess I couldn't really expect anything better.
Exit Emily.
Well, at least neither Alex nor Emily left empty-handed. But the day is almost over. With one contestant left, will Ian or Jeffrey find anyone worth investing in?
Enter Nick homosexually.
Hi guys, I'm Nick.
I'm in.
I'm in.
Lights down, end of scene.
If the Duolingo bird was gay.
I'm Luis, and I'm the CEO of Duolingo.
Lights up. A technology press conference announcing a new product update.
Hello, I'm Luis Von On, CEO of popular foreign language education app Duolingo, and I'm here to give you our June product briefing. In our coming update, we're adding many exciting features to our application, including one brand spanking new language we here at Duo HQ are pretty excited about. That's right, after a tiresome beta period and just in time for Pride Month, we are finally ready to roll out our gay language courses for less queer-coded speakers. Our original release of the gay language courses back in 2012 was a smashing success among straight speakers, so we saw it as only a natural evolution to expand it for those who identify as gay, but maybe don't like showing it off as much. Our team took note of this group and got to thinking as to why someone may not want to express their sexuality as loudly as others, and, well, the only logical explanation we could come up with is that, well, they just don't know how to. With this course, you can start off simple with your ABCs, or your "oh, yas, works," as they say in gay. And with this course, in only a few weeks' time, you'll be translating as complex sentences as, "Oh, honey, that queen just got her wig snatched, the house down, boots, yes, God." And if you keep up these daily practices, we promise that within only a few months, you will be able to speak, and dream, and think, all in gay. So, get out there, wave your rainbow flag, flag high, and slay. And for those gays so plagued by internalized homophobia that you choose not to follow this course, well, I just have one question for you. Could you hang this coat up for me? You really seem to know your way around the closet.
Lights down. End of scene.
The FGY1 gene.
I'm Kathy, a potential adoptive mother.
I'm Dan, a potential adoptive father.
I'm Miss Smith, an adoption agent.
Lights up. A couple sits with nervous excitement in an adoption agent's office as the agent enters.
Sorry about the wait.
Oh, it's no problem.
Well, how do you feel? It's been a long road to get here and it's almost over. You two must be very excited.
You have no idea. We've been dreaming of the day we get to bring little Eli home with us, and now it's practically here.
She takes Dan's hand.
Well, right before we left, I looked at his room and saw the chair that my mother gave us, and I thought about how she used to read to me on that chair and how very soon I would get to read to him on that chair. And okay, I'll admit, Kathy can tell you, I started crying right there.
And he didn't stop the whole plane ride.
Okay, no, I wouldn't say that, but yeah.
So before we continue any further, there is something we need to discuss. Now, recently, a more advanced genetic testing has become available to us here. It's required we test any child before we can complete the adoption process.
What sort of things does that include?
Just any genetic abnormalities or mutations we may not have caught with any of the other tests.
Okay, so
I'll walk you through Eli's results. While there are no mutations per se, he does dominantly carry the FGY1 gene.
The FGY1 gene. Wait, you don't mean the gay gene?
Oh God, he's gay?
If he only carried it recessively, it would be much harder to say, but the fact that it's dominantly present in Eli, yes, genetically speaking, he is gay.
Well, what are we supposed to do?
Excuse me, how are you telling this to us just now? I mean, That must be illegal. We've had no time to prepare.
We do apologize, but given the testing that's been available to us, we're telling you as early as we could. And while seeing as Eli is only 3, it will be many, many years before this will affect anything for him. So if you feel preparation is an issue that should be addressed, then...
That's BS and you know it. What are you trying to do here? Scam good people into getting gay babies they didn't prepare for?
Honey, I'm sorry, but we have to talk about this.
We understand if this impacts your decision. I'll leave you two to discuss.
Lights down. End of scene.
Binaries in black.
I'm Crystal, a hopeful researcher trying to discover gender.
I'm Jackson. I am Crystal's partner.
I'm a binary in black, a government agent.
Lights up. 2 people asleep at a table covered in paper and radio transmission equipment. Behind them is a bulletin board covered in papers with red string connecting them. It's a chaotic sight. Suddenly, a signal begins to come through the machine. Crystal wakes up.
Jesus.
Crystal hits person next to them.
Wake up.
I'm here.
A signal's coming through. Correct me if I'm wrong, but weren't you the one who was supposed to stay up in case we got any transmissions?
Well, pardon me for wanting to rest my eyes. Let's discover the true theory of gender, they said. It'll be fun, they said. It won't take more than a few weeks, they said. Well, all I'm saying is that maybe we should stop wasting our lives locked up in this room glued to these computers.
Shut up, I'm trying to listen. Is that Morse code? Do we still have that guide lying around?
I think so. I got it.
Okay, dash, space, dot, space, dot, space, dash, dot, dash. That's it, it's just playing on a loop.
Okay, so that's, T-H-E-Y. They. The hell does that mean?
Maybe it's an acronym. Today, Henry eliminated Yugoslavia. No, that doesn't sound right.
Okay, how about, Ta-he-e-ya.
Seriously?
I am.
No, you're clearly not.
Fine, I'll just leave then. You know, people think we're crazy. Locked up in here every day. Never looking away from these computers.
Who cares what they think?
Well, I'm starting to agree with them. Just months of unintelligible garbage shooting out from somewhere in the universe that you think carries the secret to understanding gender, and then one day it just transmits this Morse code acronym that doesn't make any sense. Sure, yeah, no. I'm beginning to think that this is all just a big farce. What? Where are the cameras? Come on. You really had me going there for a second, but no, just this whole time, gender hasn't existed at all. Is that it? Have I figured it out?
The doorbell rings. Crystal goes and answers it. 2 people dressed in black formal wear with black sunglasses.
Is this the residence of Jackson and Crystal Conway?
Yes, I'm Crystal. Who are you?
We're the binaries in black.
Binaries in what?
It doesn't matter. We just need you both to look at this.
Whoa, what is that?
It's a neuralizer. It isolates the electric impulses in your brain, more specifically, the ones for memory.
Presses the button on the neuralizer. Crystal and Jackson freeze, their memories wiped.
How long will it keep them out for?
Long enough. I swear. The day it gets out that gender doesn't exist is the day everything that we love in this world goes to hell. All right, let's torch this place up.
Lights down, end of scene.
And thank you, everyone. That was BETCo's collection of scenes for the Day of Dialogue. Thank you, thank you, thank you. If I may ask you for 1 second to unmute your microphones and give a big cheer so our BETCo ensemble can hear you, that would be great.
Yeah.
Yay.
Awesome, awesome, thank you. If you can now mute yourselves again, please. I am going to have them go down. I think 2 or 3 of them are still labeled stage directions, so I apologize for that. But I'll try and rename you when I see you. So BETCo, if you can turn your cameras on, please. And then just introduce yourselves in 1 second. You can start to introduce yourselves. But I'd like to take this opportunity to ask you all if you have any questions or comments about any of the pieces, any moments that stood out to you, any pieces that didn't sit right with you, any pieces that did sit right with you, any moments that stood out, questions about any of the scenes, any of the characters. If you have those thoughts, you can feel free to now engage in the chat. And it has been set so that it's chatting privately with me. Oops, is that true?
It still says everyone.
So if you can, participant can chat with host only. Yes, excellent. So if you can take a moment now, please, to submit those questions or thoughts or comments via chat. We'd be happy to take them, and we'll respond in a little bit to a couple of them. And then again, we'll record more in our class session, more responses in our class session, and get those out to you via a video link. But while you are asking questions and posting comments, Alp, if you can start us off, let's BETCo, I'll turn on your cameras. And oh, Summer is texting me saying the chat room says it's going to everyone. If you can select, please, but Kenny says it's private to me. So if you can just make sure if yours says everyone, just please send it privately, please, to me. Excellent. And then Alp, you may begin by introducing yourself.
Hey, hi, I'm Alp. Thanks for coming.
Hello, I'm Barbara. Thanks for coming.
I'm Ben. Thanks for coming on down.
My push to talk isn't working. Hi, I'm Chris. Thank you so much for coming.
I'm Clay. Thank you for coming.
I'm Daniel. Thank you for watching.
Hi, I'm Dina. Thank you for coming.
I'm Eve. Thank you for coming.
I'm Kenny. Thanks for coming.
I'm Maya. Thanks for coming.
I'm Phoebe. Thanks for coming.
I'm Ryan. I appreciate all you guys coming down.
I'm Sylvia. Thanks for coming.
I'm Tamar. Oh, thank you for coming.
Awesome. Is that everyone? Yes? Great. So we have a couple of questions that how is this remote performance different from an in-person performance, especially considering such sensitive topics? If anyone in BETCo, raise your hands because I can see you. So Chris, go for it.
Yeah, in regards to the remote performance itself, I thought it was really neat because everyone got to watch everyone else's scenes, whereas usually you're backstage and you just sort of hear what's going on. But for this time, you got to watch everyone else's performances and really appreciate all the work that they put in that you often don't get to see the final product of. And especially if you wrote a scene, you can actually see the scene you wrote come to life in front of a crowd. So that's really cool. And in regards to such sensitive topics, it definitely it was a practical issue in terms of how we structured our scenes, but overall the writing process was already in the works before the social distancing began, and so not a whole lot changed there, and we still tried to handle it with as much respect and creativity as we usually do.
Yeah, Ben.
Yeah, it was really, really similar, honestly. Like the only changes that it brought up was really logistic stuff of like, how do we do these scenes? And I feel like the only kind of drawback I see from this is there's a lot of like subtle vocal things or like a lot of subtle movements that you can't really, that like show up really well on stage, but you can't really do in a Zoom call. But other than that, I feel like it was solid format.
Here we've got another. I loved the media scene with the lizard. What made you as a group decide that this was an important message or experience that needed to be shared? Daniel.
I think overall a lot of media representation of the community. A lot of people seem to think that if you're around it or you get introduced to that culture that it will suddenly make you that way. So we wanted to show it as something else. So we used the metaphor of watching the gecko ad and turning into a lizard. And yeah, so.
Tamar.
Also, I think sometimes parents' reactions are just a little absurd and over the top. And I think that's also a really important part in like the whole, like in growing up and discovering your identity, sort of like how like your parents' influence on you and stuff.
Awesome. We got a couple of questions challenging us. So I want to make sure that we make this public, the challenge. There were very few scenes about gender and many more about sexuality. So why everyone? Why? Yeah, Clay.
I think the thing that it comes down to is that when we are writing scenes, we want to make sure that they are honest to the actual experience within that community. And just like the simple fact of the matter is that we have more people in the class that have experiences in terms of like LGBT in terms of sexuality than in terms of gender. And so there's just more of there's just like in the way that we write scenes where it's like people are either put into groups or put out individually, it's like a person is more likely to come back to the class with a scene that like rings true to their experience, or at least that they can bring their own truth into. And so that just unfortunately results in less gender scenes being created. We tried to put we included, you know, at least at least one, and so we didn't want that to be entirely eliminated, but it's just sort of an unfortunate truth of when you want people to write something honest to them, but then you don't have necessarily an entire breadth of every experience within the LGBT community.
Awesome, and we'll take one more for right now, and then we'll answer. There are others that we are not able to get to today, and keep them coming because we will answer and respond. So keep them coming if you have them in chat, but we will respond to this question. I really enjoyed this online version of BETCo. Do you think it was harder to prepare for an online performance? Or was it fun? I guess is the tag to that question. But what about that experience, Maya, and then Eve?
I think that the online performance brought with it a lot of hurdles. For one thing, and I think this is one of the biggest ones, is that computers are just way less reliable than stage. It's harder to improvise. It's harder to work with your partner, which was a big challenge for me. It's like, it just makes it way more difficult to work off of somebody when you're on the computer. So there are definitely new challenges. There were some things that we didn't have to worry about as much, like blocking and significant props. There were some props. We also had to do a lot DIY at home with costumes and props. Shout out to Phoebe's power bottom baby doll. I think it's so funny. So yeah, it brought new challenges, but I think it was also kind of fun to explore new medium.
And Eve, go ahead.
Another thing was, this was kind of our first experience with like a staged reading, this is in some ways a staged reading. Someone's reading stage directions. We're not doing blocking. There are some props and costumes, but for the most part, it's left to the imagination. So there were some learning curves with that too. Like if a stage direction is in the middle of your line and it splits your line in two, you have to pause and wait for that. Or you have to make sure you're in touch with your stage directions person as well, even if they're not a character, because they also have a very important job.
And Ben, take us home. Oh, and Ben and then Phoebe. Phoebe will take us home.
For me, it was way easier because, like, I know what I have in my house. And so when I was thinking about costumes, I was immediately like, oh, I have this. And so that was significantly easier because I already knew what to get. But yeah, same thing in terms of like stage reading. It was a little bit harder to kind of work around those logistical issues that we ran into at first. But overall, I'd say that it was pretty much the same, if not easier, and fun.
And Phoebe, take us home.
I think it was also sort of just fun in the sense that like nobody really knew what to expect or where this was going exactly. Like we got to try out some different things like sound effects briefly that didn't end up working, but it was okay. It was just like fun that it wasn't like every other show.
Awesome. Thank you again so much. I have 3 quick announcements for you before I lose your attention totally, and hopefully you're not Zoom fatigued already. I just posted again on the chat the BHS's GSA website for the Day of Dialogue. And I also wanted to mention that they've only had 15 people complete the scavenger hunt that's on the website. So there are 12 gift certificates. There's the opportunity to win a gift certificate. There are 12 gift certificates. Only 15 people have completed the scavenger hunt. So, so please, you have opportunities, lots of opportunities. They're going to be leaving the website and the scavenger hunt up through Friday. So take advantage of that. Again, there are other resources that you can find there in activities. So go check that out. And I just shared with you on the chat the student-directed festival audition form. How can we do a student-directed festival in our basements. That's weird. Well, we're going to figure it out. The community is important to us, and maintaining a sense of the community is important to us. And so we've got some of our student directors are in BETCo, and really want to work hard to kind of make sure that our community stays vibrant and engaged with each other. And so if you are interested in auditioning for the Student Directed Festival, auditioning is a really loose term. If you want to express your interest for participation in the Student Directed Festival, go ahead and fill out that Google form, please, by Wednesday night. On Thursday morning, we're going to close that form, and we're going to be reaching out to the directors with however many people are interested in participating in the Student Directed Festival. So we're going to base it all on people signing out that form. So please take a moment to do that. And if you could take one last moment before we end this meeting to just react with either thumbs up or applause to BETCo, please. For our inaugural Zoom event, and hopefully we look forward to many more to come. So, well, not too many. Hopefully we'll be back with each other at some point before, 2030. So we'll see. But we're ready now, and this was the inaugural. So thank you so much for coming, and have a great day. And BETCo, stay on for a second, please. Thank you. All right, welcome back after a brief pause between Monday afternoon when we last saw you and were answering your questions in the moment. We are now gathered as a part of a class anyway. We're missing a couple folks, but we're going to address some of the questions that we did not have a chance to get to immediately following BETCo's Day of Dialogue performance yesterday. So, the first one we're going to go to is, we touched on this a little bit yesterday in terms of the differences between kind of immediate on-stage live performance and virtual live performance. We touched on this a little bit yesterday, but this question is, did you have to change anything to make the performance remote? So in the drafts, were there any scenes that were written prior to shutdown that we needed to adapt in order to address the remote nature of the performance, or in your vision of writing a scene, even if you didn't write the scene until post shutdown, did you have to adapt your vision of the scene for the remote, the virtual performance element?
Well, I think the Larry Gordon scene that we pre-recorded wouldn't have worked in the live at all, just because it was obviously written before the shutdown, and I still think would have worked better on stage. But just with so many moving parts to it, it didn't seem like something that was achieved to do live. Too many loose ends with that, and I think it turned out pretty well pre-recorded. So that one we had to make adjustments to.
I think there were also other things that we could realize we could do over Zoom, but we couldn't have done live. For example, the fairy godmother changing Calendar's clothes would have been much harder to do live. We could do it over Zoom.
Yeah, Alp and Eve, I saw both of you with your hands.
And normally we keep the stage directions to ourselves, and we know it, and we just actually do it on stage. But this time we had to use it as a narration element so that the viewers could create the scene in their imaginations and handle the minor details.
I was just going to say the same thing, that there were actually a few limitations taken off by Zoom, like in the Geico scene as well. There were a few transformations there that could have been a little bit harder to do on stage.
Yeah, I'm curious, actually. I haven't watched the video back yet. I'm curious to see how that actually worked out, right? Because Ben's intention was that, with that Geico mask, originally up, and then he turns his back, and so we don't see his face anymore. And he had actually a second Geico gecko mask with red eyes and fangs that plays with the narration. But I'm not actually even sure if the audience saw that, if they were on speaker view, because there wasn't enough noise made, right? Like we didn't take enough time to have him make a noise in the middle of that stage direction so that Zoom switched it to a tile of him so that we could see his mask for a moment and then back. I don't know if that happened. I actually didn't see it. I was typing at the time, changing everyone's names. So so I'm not sure if that moment happened or not. So I'm curious actually to watch it back and see if that happened. And if not, think about, okay, for next time, if we're working one of those moments, how do we do that? So I think that's pretty interesting. Oh, and so Sylvia, you brought up the Larry Gordon show. Please, folks at home, if you didn't watch the Larry Gordon show, take a look at that scene. It'll be up on the Drama Society website as well, with right around this performance. Another question. This is clearly someone who knows the inner workings of how we choose pieces for BETCo shows. Was there a scene or a message that had to be voted out of the show? For those who don't know, we create lots and lots of scenes, and then we choose certain ones to present. So were there any specific scenes or messages that didn't make the cut for the performance that anyone wants to share? Yeah, Tamar.
I wouldn't really say these were the message, it was the message of any of these scenes, but when we were first writing, a lot of the scenes were sort of like, they sort of seemed like anti-straight, I guess you could say. But like obviously that wasn't the message of the scene, of any of the scenes that were written, but we sort of leaned away from those scenes, I guess, in the end.
Maya.
Yeah, that was actually what I was gonna say. Initially, we noticed that we had a lot of scenes that were using, like, kind of looking at the queer community through the lens of, like, straight people or the opposite, but we had, like, a little bit too much on the straight community in the beginning, and we had to, like, notice that and then, like, drift away from that.
Good. I had to leave the BETCo show early today. What I saw was great, and I have a question about it. So during the school counselor scene, the Zoom setup made it seem like we were seeing through the eyes of the character when the character of the teenager, Maya's character, Julie, is that Julie? Maya's character, Julie, when Julie wasn't talking, which made it feel especially intimate. Was that intentional? And what other choices in the show did you make specifically for the platform? We started to address that a little bit in other ways. Also, I appreciated the message of that scene in particular, that even a soup of terms created with the intention of not leaving anyone out can be a barrier in and of itself. So there's a couple questions in there in terms of intentionality of like really getting up close and personal with the characters in terms of the intimacy of it, the feeling intimacy of it, and then other choices specifically for the platform, and then the soup of terms that ultimately can be a barrier itself. Sylvia, then Maya, as the two folks in that scene.
Yeah, I think it was just a happy coincidence side effect of using Zoom that it happened to look like such an intimate conversation. And with that one, I guess we did intentionally stage it like that, where both characters are directly looking at the camera, because in real life they'd be sitting like across from each other. Whereas with some of the other scenes, we kind of tried to have people look to the right or left of them to create the illusion of people sitting next to each other. That's kind of the most we could do with staging. And yeah, that I definitely touched on how while sometimes labels are helpful for some people, at the same time, sometimes it feels overwhelming to have so many choices.
Yeah, Sylvia said it perfectly. When we switched to the Zoom format, we kind of had to learn how to look at the camera instead of at our scene partner, which was really challenging because it's like they're down here, but we had to reteach ourselves how to look at the camera, and I think that's how you kind of get that feel of you're looking through the character's eyes because they're like staring right at you. So that was an adjustment we had to make.
Awesome. And then the last question, unless anyone has any other thoughts on that one. No? The last question is, how did it feel not having live audience feedback? Because of course I asked to kind of keep it clear and allow, ask the audience to be on speaker view so that we could really focus in on who was speaking rather than trying to track tiles. To maximize clarity of that and minimize distractions, I asked everyone to mute their microphones, and so we couldn't hear laughter or anything like that. And so how did it feel not having that? Chris, then Clay?
For me, it wasn't particularly different because, well, for one, I sort of scrolled through all the different pages, picking through the names just to see if I could recognize anyone who was there. And I said, oh, they're there. I'm glad that they're watching. And while I'm sure my other castmates will disagree with me, I was able to comprehend that there were other people watching the show and that I was in front of dozens of people. I still had that in mind. As well as I'm also used to, I have a little bit of experience acting for film stuff, which doesn't have a live audience at all, save for crew members. So I'm sort of used to being very self-contained in my performing. So it wasn't too much out of the comfort zone for me.
I had a opposite experience to what Chris is talking about, where it's like, I assume other people in this class can relate to this, but it's like being in rehearsal is one thing, but there's something about like the energy that you can feel coming off an audience when you're on stage that really like adds to your performance. And especially in comedic scenes, and 2 of the 3 scenes that I was in were comedic ones, and usually like all it takes, like anyone who's done a show, a comedy knows this, like all it takes is one person to laugh in an audience at like one of your jokes, and then suddenly you're like filled with this energy and it like really takes you through the rest of the scene. And so you have to be quite confident in the fact that you are hopefully being funny in your scenes if they're a comedy, and just like hope that they got the joke, or that you're like not going too fast, or you're pausing maybe at the right times for laughter, because you have no idea who thinks it's funny, who doesn't think it's funny, and whether or not it's hitting the people that it should. But I suppose it is an exercise in like trusting our writing, because we have no way. It's sort of just like the only way we can tell if we did a good job is the feedback we get and whether or not we think it was good or not. And so it was an interesting experience.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you for watching the show yesterday. Hats off to you for coming out on a Monday afternoon to check out our work and support the work of BETCo. And thank you for tuning in to watch again or to listen to the answers you didn't hear before. And we'll see you at our next show.